Hey, what's going on, all Fun 99 fans? It's your boy MusiqNerd, and I am back here trying to preview this week's game against Wake Forest. So I've had a couple weeks to kind of think about this and to recap and think about what happened, what went wrong with the Georgia Tech game, and there are people who are saying it was good that Miami lost. There are people saying this just exposed Miami. There are a lot of things that are going on in the end, but with the grand scheme of things, when it comes down to it, you have a path in front of you right now. Miami's path is clear. You cannot mess this up. You got 2 games, really 3, to get to where you want to go. You want to go to college football playoff. You want to compete for a national championship. Here's your path: beat Wake Forest, beat Syracuse, then get into the ACC championship game, and then beat either SMU or Clemson. More likely SMU. So when it gets down to it, what are you going to do? How are you going to handle it? Because you got 2 teams that, while they may be able to present some problems for your defense, you are athletically superior. You are a better team when it comes down to roster fit and people who are on your team. You have multiple people up for awards on your team. You have a offense that's statistically the best in the nation. So really, no one should be able to hang with you. This is senior day. You got a day where you're going to have Xavier Restrepo's last home game, Cam Ward's last home game, people like Daryl Porter's last home game. You got like people who have given a lot to this program. So how are you going to go out and execute? Because really what happened in the Georgia Tech game on both sides of the ball, and while the defense is taking a lot of crap and while it should, both sides of the ball did not execute the way that it was. You get down into Georgia Tech's 40 3 times and come away with 0 points. Yeah, I'm not going to sit there and sing your praises. The offense did not play well as either, and there was no complimentary football against Georgia Tech, and yet still had the ball down 5 with a minute to go. It had the ability to win the game, but Miami just wasn't able to put it together. When it comes down to it, Miami is good enough to win a national championship, in my opinion. Really, the offense is good enough for it. The defense is not. Now, the defense needs to play complimentary enough to get it down, but watching all these other teams the last couple of weeks and everything, Miami's offense is still, I think, is the best in the nation when it comes down to it, because Cam Ward is the best quarterback in the nation, bar none, in my opinion. I don't really think it's that close, and I know there are a lot of people who are taking him off their Heisman list because, he didn't play last week and because they lost to Georgia Tech wrongfully. Looking at you, Kirk Herbstreit, I'm really disappointed in you, bro, but, I'm not surprised by your actions anymore. But when it comes down to it, like I said, there's a path ahead. And the keys to the game are simple. Like, offense has to execute. Whether it's running, passing, offense has to execute. If the offense execute, Miami will be fine. They'll win the game. Now, this next point, the defense. The secondary defensive line has to uber step up. You need pressure. You need sacks. Not just pressures. You need sacks. Tyler Barron, Ruben Bain, Simeon Barrow, Akeem Mesidor, we're looking at you. Y'all need to get to the quarterback and take them down. Help out your secondary. Play complementary football, not just as a defense, but complementary football with your teammates. Your secondary is hurt. Your secondary is not as good as we thought it was going to be. Actually, we predicted that the secondary wasn't going to be as good as it was last year. But we thought this defensive line was going to be able to hide some of those deficiencies because they were going to be able to cut down on the time that they had to pass. But Georgia Tech had forever to throw the football. And Georgia Tech, while being a pretty good offensive line and everything like that, still was not supposed to be able to stack up against our defensive line because that's supposed to be the strength of this defense. So this has got to be on the defensive line. The defensive line has got to show up and get sacks. And that being said, you have to be aligned in the back. And I know everyone is saying the right things about alignment and communication and everything like that, but where has that been the first 10 weeks of the season? Because when it comes down to, we all know that there was issues with communication. We all know that there were things that were confused. We all know Georgia Tech tried different things because there were things that they just did not do. They didn't put on tape. But the fact of the matter is, when it comes down to it, if you stay disciplined and stay into your your assignment and your responsibility, it doesn't matter what you see. You stay where you're supposed to be. You'll be aligned right. You'll be fine. And I'm saying, I don't think it's overreaction to Miami's loss by pundits or anything like that, but people are right in saying that this was a long time coming. You play with fire, you're going to get burned, and Miami got burned 2 weeks ago. So how do you respond to that? Because that's the third key. So the difference between championship teams and good teams that watch championship games, watch championship Saturdays, watch the playoffs, and play in a lower bowl game is games like this, challenges like this. What separates you between a championship team and a pretty good team is the will to win and the will to put it together and the will to be it. We talked about this when we talked about the greatest teams. Like there was a stretch when the 0-1 team faced that was going to be that was going to define their season. They had a 3 game stretch. They played 3 ranked teams in a row, and there were teams that there. I know people are never going to say this now because hindsight is 2020, but there were times when people doubted Miami. I mean, at one point in the BCS, I think when the first BCS came up, they were number 2 at one point. But during this 3 game stretch, they were playing. So they played this stretch, and what happened is Miami went out and won that stretch 126-7. That's how good that team was. That's how good that team set up to the plate is. I don't think Miami is going to be able to win a game like this. I don't think Miami is going to be able to go and win these 2 games 126-7. But if you're a championship team, you go out and you win these games handily and you show who you are. You say that the Georgia Tech game was an aberration and that it won't happen again and that your best is not behind you, it's in front of you. So, senior day on Saturday, pack the rock, green and white. It's going to be a pleasure to watch this game because you're going to see Xavier Strepo for the last time on Hard Rock unless Miami hosts a playoff game or they play in the Orange Bowl for one of the playoff games. It's going to be a pleasure to watch Cam Ward, probably his last home game as a college quarterback. And honestly, if he throws for 5 touchdowns and he sets the FBS record for things going on, there are a lot of things going forward for this team. There are a lot of things that are still to be played for. Georgia Tech is not the end of the season. It should be the beginning. So, basically, your playoffs start now, like I said before when I was reacting to the game, like I've said last week, and again like that, just like the Dolphins for them, the playoffs start now. So, you got a 3 game stretch. So, what are you going to do, Miami? Are you going to step up and win? Or are you going to let everybody, are you going to prove everybody right about you? Fact of the matter is, they're going to hate on you because you're Miami. But the great thing about being a Miami fan and what we've done and what we went through for all those years is that we've always been able to prove them wrong when we had a great team. So we're going to figure out what kind of team we have this weekend. So go Hurricanes. It's going to be at noon Eastern time, 11 if you're in the Midwest like me, and for other pieces. So enjoy the game, y'all. Hopefully Miami gets out there and kicks some Wake Forest ass, and hopefully we're able to do what we need to do and take home a win. All right, see y'all soon. Peace.